Welcome back, everybody. This is the Vegans Who Live podcast with your favorite vegans. We got Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan. And up until about 5 minutes ago, I had no clue what we were going to be talking about today. But we have our 10 biggest fitness suggestions, advice, topics, tips. One of those. Our 10 biggest. That's what we got. Anyways, I've been having a hell of a morning and finally getting my head wrapped around and to becoming the bodybuilding vegan for the next hour and a half or so. Brooke, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here, whether we're winging it or we have a perfectly curated podcast, which is not always the case, but hey, that's how we roll. Like Sean said, like a bunch of bosses. That's just how we show up. So yeah, it's storming a lot here. So I'm like hoping the power doesn't go out while we're on the podcast. So stay tuned.
Oh God. Nobody wants to be stuck with me for 2 hours, so we can't let that happen. Sean's gonna have to play you if if it goes out.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, all right, here we are. So I think since we didn't even talk about any of this behind the scenes, we got our 10 tips. We can bounce back and forth. Like I'll do my first, you do your first, and we'll just go back and forth. That way I don't talk for the whole first hour and a half by myself. Anyways,
Sounds
I'm gonna
good.
take a breath. Let's stick to the formula though, stick to the script. What's a win for the week, Brooke?
My win for the week, and I have to shout out Sean for this, is I've finally started my newsletter, which is something I have put off for so long as a business owner. And I've had my business since 2020, so about 4 years now. And, everybody in their online business, they have a newsletter, they have email marketing. And I, to be honest, was just very overwhelmed by it. Like a lot of people are with working out. I was just like, gosh, there's just so much to it, like all like the science behind it, like your click rate, your open rate, like oh my gosh, like it's just overwhelming. And so I just kind of like procrastinated forever because I just was not really ready to get over that learning curve of it. But Sean basically took out all of the guesswork for me and has been a huge help and has really guided me through it. And so we released my 2 newsletters, and it was really exciting. So I'm just like I'm glad that I finally got over that hump here 4 years into my owning my business. And yeah, so we just kind of is similar to yours. Like any new YouTube videos I'll put in there. I'm trying to offer a lot of value and like giving people like 4 tips to build muscle, or putting like a little recipe in there. Just something that people feel like they actually want to read it, because I know everybody gets spammed with emails. Like I get tons of emails and I never even look at them. I love Arnold's. I don't know if you follow Arnold's newsletter. Arnold has an awesome newsletter and I read it every single time I get it. So I'm kind of like emulating his in a way, like trying to give a lot of value there, because he always just has so much good information in his newsletter. I enjoy reading it. So yeah, that's my win. My win for the week is finally not procrastinating and getting that newsletter out there, and yeah, connecting with some people.
Hell yeah, dude. If anybody's an entrepreneur and they're listening, do what Brooke's doing. Copy somebody better than you, or more advanced or further along in the game than you. I've copied Brooke more times than I have fingers, so I'm glad she's copying Arnold, and it'll trickle down. Might lead me to my next question, Brooke. How do I get on your newsletter? Because I did not get any from you.
Crap. Okay, so I gotta add you then. I'll add you to it.
Okay.
I know I'm on yours. I always get yours. I got yours this morning.
Oh
Actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to do that on Monday, and today's Thursday, so there we go. What? Well, okay. Well, we might have some listeners that want to get on yours. Is there a way on your website currently, or is that in the works? That might be a Sean question.
That is more like a Sean question. I mean, they can apply, like if you apply for coaching through my website, you will automatically be signed up for the newsletter. But we are going to create a lead, like a landing page so that people can opt in and join the newsletter. So that is in the works.
Okay, in the works. We don't have something official yet. Your website is
meatlessmuscle.com.
meatlessmuscle.com. And I'm sure, guys, if you just can't wait, send her a DM on Instagram with your email. She'll add you to the list. She's that serious about this.
Yep.
Very cool, dude. I need to get on that. I'll add that to my never-ending list of things. My win for the week, I don't even remember when we were on the podcast last. I know we had Nick, and I can't believe that was a week ago. I got my YouTube back. I think I talked about that last time. My channel's back up, so that's awesome. I guess it might not be the world's biggest win, but I've hit a few PRs this week in the gym. And that, for me, at this age in my lifting career, I've been in the gym 16 years. So to hit some PRs, I'll take it. That'll be my win. I'll put out some personal stuff. I'll count that as a secondary win. It was brought to my attention that I don't go on enough dates. So Allie and I are now planning a weekly date, and I think we're gonna go bike riding on Saturday. So yeah, I need to do that more. So I'm putting if I put it out here on the podcast, I'm kind of holding myself accountable. So, anyways, we'll do more of that. But that's my couple wins there.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to have weekly date night. It's so important.
I think so. Our conversations or our communication, that's something I want to talk about on the podcast maybe sometime. But like the communication we have is very high level in my eyes, in my opinion. And like even this morning, so I booked us a photo shoot for Sunday. There's a photographer that offered to do us a free shoot. And so I said, let's do it, like on the beach. And then she's like, well, what are you gonna wear? And I'm like, uh probably like an Only Plants shirt or something. And she's like, oh no, like we need to have like tailored outfits that match and all these things. And I was just kind of getting overwhelmed. And I was like, I don't know about any of this. And then after a while, she came back and she was like, you know what? You should just wear whatever you're comfortable in. I'm gonna wear what makes me feel good. And I was like, oh dang. But then it was almost like reverse psychology. And I was like, well, I want to wear what makes you feel good too. So I might be getting an outfit, or I might be pulling jeans out of my dresser that have not been worn in over a year. So I don't know if I'll fit them. They are stretchy jeans, but anyways, all right, that's enough.
Yes, you should. Yeah, yeah, because she's probably gonna look really cute, like in a dress, and then like you don't want to be in an Only Plant shirt next to her. I mean, maybe you do, but you might look back on it in like 5, 10 years and be like,
You might be right. You might be
and
right.
it's
And I
on the
still,
beach, like,
yeah. And if I just look to the correct direction, I'll still get my message across. So,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It'll be cute. It'll you want to be like kind of romantic, you know? It's like something you want to hang on the mantle.
yeah, this is all new stuff for me. So, I mean, I've dated for a while, but it's still kind of new for me.
Yeah, but it's
But yeah,
different when you have someone you really care about and like you want to make time for and you want to take pictures with and have those memories. It's a lot different, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Game? We ready for the game?
let's do the game. Let's just hop in it.
Okay. I still got quite a few left, so we should be able to get through season 2. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. What do you feel is taboo in our culture that really needs to not be?
So much. How do you pick one?
I
Well,
know.
one being vegan. I could go there.
I know that's a huge one. Like that's like the obvious one, I feel like for
Yeah.
us.
So I think this is a United States issue, and this might be out there. And so you know what? I'll be controversial. Sorry, I know I'm going first, but you ever go to the beach and there's like a bunch of people in like swimsuits walking around at the beach? It's pretty normal.
Pretty much all the
But
time.
like, what if there's a Publix, like a grocery store, like literally 250 feet from the beach? You go in there in a bathing suit, people are gonna be like, "What's wrong with this person?" And I'm like, "It's the same amount of skin. Like, what's the big deal? What's the difference?" And I think it's just like we've over sexualized everything as a country, or like sexualized it, but then like put it down for being sexualized. It's like in Africa or rural parts of like South America, people run around with like loincloths and they don't give a second look at an ass or something like that that's just hanging out. So I do think that's a little bit weird here, how you literally cross a threshold and it's seen as okay. I remember I got approached by the owner of a gym, a very big gym in Gainesville. It's not a very big city, but there's only like 3 main gyms, and this is the gym that has the name of the city in it. So you could do some Googling and figure out, what gym I was training at in Gainesville that has that in the name. But I was training there and they threatened to kick me out and cancel my membership because I was posing in like damn near in a janitor closet. It was in the hallway before the janitor closet. Ain't nobody was over there. It was just me. But I did record myself and I posted it on Facebook, and they found it and they said, "You cannot do this. We will kick you out." And I said, "What did I do?" And they said, "You're not fully dressed in the gym room." I said, "Oh, so I could just take my camera and go into the pool downstairs and be in the same amount of clothes there, and it's not a problem? Like, what the heck? Like, literally, even in a gym, you cross a line and you're in the pool room. Oh, you can be half naked, no problem. Oh, but you're on the gym floor? No, you can't. So I don't know. Maybe my thing is with like public nudity, but that's my taboo.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I could understand public nudity, but like half nudity, I do think that's kind of silly. Like, I remember when I came to visit my mom one time, she worked out at a YMCA, and I had not been to a YMCA in years, and I walked in a sports bra and leggings, so I'm not even half naked. I just don't have a shirt on. You can see half of my stomach and a little bit of my back and my arms. And they were like, "Hey, you can't come in here. Like, you got to put a shirt on." And I'm like, "Seriously?" Like, they're like, "Yeah, we don't want to see your midriff." And I'm like, "Wow, okay." I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, I know they're like trying to create a certain culture there. But yeah, it's interesting how gyms can be very restrictive with that. And it's like everybody's just working out here to do their thing. Like, I mean, I know some people go to the gym to get attention, but most people are just working out to work out. Like, I mean, it's not a big deal, but yeah, people are weird about that stuff.
Yeah. Not that I think it makes a difference in my case. I was one instance, this happened twice actually. I broke the rules twice. Once was to take photos for my coach for my check-in, and once I was working with a posing coach. And I don't think that that really changes it for me. Like, yes, I had an objective for bodybuilding, but like, what if there's some younger kid that's not ready, like, to be on stage yet, but he wants to take some progress? But like, what's the big deal? I don't know. That's just me. All right. I
Yeah.
want to hear. I want to hear yours.
I two came to mind. The first one I would say, seeking therapy, I think is something that's kind of taboo. Like, people think if you're going to therapy, you're like about to be in the loony bin, when really you could just be dealing with like a death, or just I mean, anything. Like, people, it should be normalized to go to therapy, because truly most people have some sort of child wound or trauma or something. I mean, even if you had great parents and a great upbringing, I mean, shit still happens. Like, you might get bullied at school, and that could totally traumatize you and change the way you see the world and how you date people. And so I feel like, that's something that is kind of taboo, that shouldn't be, because it's really healthy. And I think if more people went to therapy, we'd have more productive, healthy people in society. So, and then the second one that came to mind was, choosing not to have children, um, because everybody expects you to have children. And I truly believe that it's just not for everybody. And I know you're probably in that boat with me, because I mean, I know everybody's like, well, you may change your mind one day, whatever. Maybe. I mean, I'm 27, and I've felt this way my whole life. I mean, I guess maybe something could change, but at least for right now, I mean, I don't plan on having children. And I feel like people, like, especially my, like, women, like my girlfriends, like, they're just shocked when they hear that. Like, "Oh my god, but then what are you going to do? Like, who's going to take care of you? Like, what are you
Mm,
going to do when you're like 40?" Like, it's like, like, you don't have any other hobbies or anything else going on in your life. Like, you have to have children to have a purpose or to have a reason for being here. Or like people will say, well, how's your legacy going to live on? Like who's going to carry on your legacy? Just stuff like that. And I truly feel like we should respect everybody's choices, because it's funny. I mean, in my opinion, there's quite a few people who have kids and shouldn't have kids. Like we shouldn't be pressuring people to have children, guys.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's some people that have managed to have children that should not have children. Um, what are you going to do when you're 40? I mean, I don't know. Live your life. There's a whole world to travel. There's a whole lot of animals or people that could need saving. And I've been in the same boat as you. I've known since I was very young that I didn't really want kids. And then it was just more of like I don't want them. And then as I got older, it was more like ethically, do I really want to bring on the payload of a whole child? Like, think of all the diapers, all the water bottles, everything they're going to go through in a lifetime. Do I want to add that onto the earth with what we already got going on? And the answer for me was no. And funny enough, thank you, Sean, just set the video live this morning on YouTube. I got a vasectomy at 25. So it's been 6 years now, and I've been locked in on that decision. One of the best decisions I ever made was getting a vasectomy. So I think you've definitely hit the taboo of like I've had a lot of people be like, "Oh my God, you did that so young." For me, it didn't really feel young. It didn't really feel crazy. But I'm also a man, and I think society must place a different level of pressure on women to have children. Because let's be honest, like at the end of the day, it is the women that have the children. The men contribute, but the women are the ones that do the work and end up being the moms and usually stick around when the dads don't. So societally, a lot more is placed on our women, at least from what I can see. How does your
Yeah.
mom feel about it?
You know, uh my mom, she like 100% supports me. I mean, like she has two grandkids already. So she's certainly not pressuring me for grandkids. And I mean, she knows, like, I mean, she always says that, I never wanted to play with baby dolls. I never was that girl. I had like dinosaurs and like just shit like that, like Hot Wheels. Like I was just weird. They thought I was gonna probably be a lesbian, but I ended up being straight. So there was that at least. But yeah, so my mom is like, yeah, it's you. She's like, I truly just feel like you have it or you don't. Like you would know by now if you wanted to be a mom. You just have that like maternal instinct. So my mom like 100% supports me. She's like, you're just gonna have dogs. You're just gonna live your life. Like you're gonna be fine. My grandpa, who is like in his 80s, he like I just can't even talk to him about it because all the time he's like, "When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna have kids? I asked God to let me live long enough to see your baby," and I'm just like, "Well, you're gonna be around for a long time then, because that ain't gonna happen." I don't know. It's just for me. Like I just like you, like the ethical standpoint too. Like I truly believe the world is going to be like a really just terrible place in probably 100 years in that kid's lifetime. I feel like by the time we're old, like the oceans are going to be just like ruined. I mean, like it's just I just can't imagine bringing a kid into this world for the ethical reasons. And I don't know. It's not that I don't like kids. Like I love kids. Like I love my nieces, but it's like I have a weekend with them and I have my fix, like I'm good. Like they'll make a mess and I'll be like, Miller, okay, you got to clean up your mess. Like let's put our toys away. And she'll just look at me and be like, no. And I'm like, all right. Yep, this is why I'm not having kids. And if you guys really want some good birth control, go on Netflix, watch Jennifer Did It. Or what
Ooh.
Jennifer did on Netflix. Basically, this girl kills her parents, hires people to kill her parents because they didn't want her dating her boyfriend. So you never know. You could raise your kid and give them everything, and be an awesome parent and send them to college and do everything for them, and they kill you.
Good God. Nope. Nope. I don't need that. um, Funny you mentioned Arnold earlier because I read I listened to his most recent book, Being Useful. I think it's called, yeah, Being Useful. Um, and he talked about his parenting style, and it was funny because like one of his kids, I think it was his daughter, kept leaving her shoes close to the fireplace, and they would actually use the fireplace. And he said, like, I forget her name, but like, hey, don't leave your shoes there. And then she did it again, and he kicked them into the fire. Then his son, I think his son's name is Peter, like refused to make his bed, and he lived on the second story. So Arnold's like, I told you to make your bed, and he's like, all right, I'll do it later. He didn't do it later, so he went to go to bed at night and found his bed had been thrown off the second story into the yard. And I was like, if I was a parent, that's the kind of parent I would be. You tell me no.
Yeah.
All right, well, no more toys for you. We're gonna find like a garbage disposal or something. I don't know. Anyways, traumatize some kids. Why not? That's what I would do. Um, I agree with everything you said. Like ethically, how are we gonna bring kids in? What if they kill you? Or possibly even worse, what if your kid ended up being a serial killer? Like, do you think every serial killer's parents were like horrible parents? Probably not. Some of these kids just come out that way. That
You
would be a
never
lot to live with.
know. Yeah, you really never know. Like you can do everything right. And like that's the other thing too is like people will have children and be like, I want my I remember I had this boyfriend one time and I didn't want to have kids and he was adamant about having kids and he was like, "Well, I want a son. Like I want my son to be a football star. Like I want him to be able to do what I never could do and I want him to live out my dream and like, be in the NFL." And I'm like, "How do you know? How do you know that's what's going to happen? He could be gay. He could want to be a theater kid. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like people want to like live through their children and you can't decide what that person's life is going to be. Like you can have an influence, sure, but you can't determine what that person wants to do with their life. And like you said, like truly like serial killers, like their brains are just different. Like literally like
Mhm.
their MRIs of their brain are just different. Like not saying everybody who has kids is gonna have a serial killer, but I mean you just don't know. Like people have this idea in their mind of what having kids is gonna be like. And I'm sure for some people it works out exactly like they want it to, but you just never know. And I just like I don't know. I'm good. My dog loves me unconditionally, so
I'm just thinking like my mom was probably like, I never thought my son was gonna be a bodybuilder with green hair and a vegan head tattoo. Like
right.
I don't think she could have ever predicted that. Um, so outside of everything we just mentioned, I think the other thing that comes down to gender differences, if I decide to have children, I just got to either go in vitro or get my vasectomy reversed. Not a big deal. If you decide to have children biologically, you're going to have to get pregnant and carry that baby around for 9 months. And you're a bodybuilder. Like, this isn't something that's going to just poof go away and not have an impact on you hormonally, physically. Like, I yeah, it's just a lot. I think like I have so little commitment as a man physically. If
Yeah.
I was a woman, I'd be even more against it. Just me.
Yeah. Mostly that's what being pregnant freaks me out. Like it freaks me out. I mean like no judgment. Like I respect the hell out of women who, do that and they're amazing moms and they raise amazing people and put them out in the world. I just don't know if it's for me. I just don't know if it's for me. At least right now at 27, I can say I've gone my whole life and never felt inclined that I needed to have a little mini me running around. I just not there.
Yeah. Laura convinced me it would be fun. For a minute, I kind of had wrapped my head around it, but after that relationship ended, I think that I was just trying to trick myself that that's what I wanted. I'll put it this way. My mom, she never wanted kids. She was like you. She actually was in her first marriage, and they agreed before they got married that they would never have kids. And I think they were together from she was like 22 to 27, and I think she met my dad around like 29, so already kind of getting a little up there. And I think had me around 30. And so like prior to my dad, she never planned to have kids. So I know there is kind of that potential that my mindset could change. However, it's funny, I was talking to Ben, Ben from Instagram, Ben Mitchell?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, eh, Shout out to him. He's so sweet. But he was watching my vasectomy video and he's like, dude, we're so similar. I plan on doing it myself. And I said, like, it might make dating harder for you to come out and say you don't want kids so much that you've gotten a vasectomy. Because like a lot of guys will be like, I don't want kids, and the girl will be like, oh well, I can trick him in a couple of years. Can't really trick somebody that has a vasectomy. And so I told him that dating might be harder, but then again, it might put you on the path that you're supposed to be on or the path that you want to be on. And I met Allie and she had already had stepkids for like 20 years, like helped raise these kids. And when it was her turn to try and get pregnant, she found out she couldn't become pregnant. So when I met her, I asked her, like, do you want kids? Like, because that's a pretty big deal. And she's like, I've been there, I've done that, and I can't. And I was like, shit, this might work for me because I don't really want them either. I would maybe adopt, maybe.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I wait till 50 to adopt, maybe I'll adopt a 10-year-old. Like, why not? Like, at least for me, like I've been there, done that, raised or help watch kids change diapers. Not really for me. All the crying, not really for me. But if they can talk and have a little bit of autonomy, even like a 3-year-old and up, that's where I can come into play. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody wants a baby because they're cute, and I'm like, no, it just cries and poops itself. I do enough of that myself. So,
Yeah.
um,
The other thing my mom always says is like, if you have any hesitation about having kids, don't have kids. That's what my mom says, because it's really, really hard. Like, yes, it's like there's a lot of good times, but it's really, really challenging a lot of the time. Like, you lose sleep over it. You're basically giving up your whole life for another person. And that's what my mom says too, is like, you don't want to have kids because you take it seriously. Like, a lot of people don't take it seriously. Like, you realize that, like, once you bring a kid into this world, like it's over. Like, it's not about you anymore. Like, you want to go to the Olympia? Like, too bad. Like, it's about raising these kids and doing what's best for them, because you brought them into the world. Like, you have to set them up for success, and give them the time and attention that they need. So I don't know, I feel like that's really good advice. And I'm like you, I wouldn't be opposed to adopting or fostering kids later, like later in life. There's so many kids in foster homes, and it's so sad, like how many kids really need a good home. And I feel like I would rather take in a kid that really needed it, and otherwise would be in a terrible situation, than bring my own kid in the world, honestly.
and you could force them to be vegan.
Yep.
I mean, I think most kids are going to be a lot more open-minded anyways.
Yeah.
So no, I don't need somebody out there like reporting me for something I'm not even going to do. But, um, that's my other thing. Like if I had a biological kid and they decided at 18, like I'm not going to buy them meat. There's not going to be meat in my house. But if they decide at 18 they want to get a job and go hunt some animals and kill them, like nothing I can do to stop them. At least with an adopted kid, we might be able to tip the scale in the right direction. I don't know. I wonder how people that are not vegan take this podcast. I don't know. I really don't.
I know. They're
Oh
probably
boy,
think we're crazy.
a little bit, but really, I mean, it is about the world. I think not having kids is possibly the biggest impact you can make on lowering your impact on the world. So we are almost 40 minutes in, and we've talked about a whole lot of nothing.
It's a hot topic. A hot topic. I hope people are still here by now.
Yeah, if you're still here by now, go ahead, give us a rating, a review, a shout out, a like, something. If we get none, then we'll know. Um, you ready to jump into these top
I'm
top
ready.
10 tips? There we go. Top 10 tips. I'll give my first one. So these are fitness tips, right? Just
Yes.
like in general. All right. Just get started. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Whatever it is in life. Instagram for me. If you go back, I got like almost 4,000 posts, I think. If you go back to the beginning ones, they're not that good. The camera quality ain't that good. The captions weren't that good. It just wasn't great stuff. But if I didn't start, I wouldn't be at where I'm at today. Same with YouTube, same with training. God, I sucked at training when I started. I had no clue what I was doing. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So don't tell yourself you need to be 10 pounds lighter before going to the gym or that you need to do this or that. Like, just get in there. Get in there. Go suck for a while. Go earn your right to be good. And that starts by sucking. So that's going to be my first tip.
I love that one. I couldn't agree more. I think it's Eric Thomas who said the longer that you wait to get started, the longer you wait to reap the reward. So that's so true. Like everybody wants to get to their goal. The longer that you wait, the longer it's going to take you to get to your goal. So you don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need the stars to align. You don't need to get over every single holiday, every single birthday. Like just do something. And I mean, most people I think would be really shocked at how little it takes to get results. And then when you hit a plateau and you're not seeing results, hire a coach, hire some help, but get started, do something, go on a 20-minute walk. You'll thank yourself later.
Yeah.
So
I mean, uh, one last thing, like
yeah.
you might even work potentially in a silly manner, not necessarily in the right direction. When I started training, I thought I had to train twice a day to get big. I trained twice a day, 6 days a week for like 4 months. I didn't get big, but I was in the gym so much that I learned every machine. I learned how to do most movements. I met a lot of people. I learned a lot of resources. And so while I didn't physically look a whole lot different, mentally I was laying that foundation to be better later on. So even though I didn't go in the right direction, I still learned a lot. So anyways, that was my own
Yeah.
anecdote.
Good one. So my first tip would be progressive overload is king. And if anyone listening doesn't know what progressive overload is, it's basically a big fancy word that just means increasing your weights or increasing your reps each week in your exercises. So I say this is one of my tips because I find that so many people are constantly switching up their routines. I have consultations with people all the time, and they're like, well, I don't think my training is the issue. I think it's my nutrition. And I'm like, well, let's talk about your training. Like, tell me a little bit about your training. And then I'll find that they're always doing something different. And I'm like, nope, yep, your training is an issue too. So the fact that you are constantly changing exercises, I mean, you have no idea how you're progressing. You have no idea how your strength is going up. You have no idea, what your stats are. So it's really important to keep the same routines and to get stronger in your lifts every single week so that you can really track that and see if you're building muscle, because there's no way you're not building muscle if you're continuously putting weight on those lifts. So it's an easy way to make sure what you're doing is effective and it's proven to work. It's what all of the top bodybuilders do. It's what anyone who has achieved an amazing physique has done. They're not doing like these crazy, like curls on a Bozu ball and then like doing some crazy functional movement like a walking handstand. Like, no, they're doing the boring stuff. They're doing the squats, they're doing the deadlifts, they're doing the lunges over and over and over again until they get stronger and better. So if you're starting out, pick a routine, stick with it. Don't try to switch it up all the time. Muscle confusion is a myth, and just get stronger.
Yeah. If it's trending on Instagram, it more than likely might just be a trend or a fad. It's the hard work that gets you to grow. It's doing the same thing over and over. A lot of people don't like to do the same thing. I have clients that are like, "Wait, is this workout just for the next week, right? Because next week you're going to send me a new split." And it's like you said, how are you going to know? How are you going to know if you got any better? How are you going to know if you got stronger? Even beyond that, part of lifting is learning to become efficient with your muscles and how to push yourself and to master the movements, and that takes time. You're not going to be, even if you don't do like a free weight squat, even if you do a hack squat, you're not going to be the master of hack squats in 3 weeks. Stick with it. um Other areas of progressive overload they could hit, so you could increase the reps. You could go from 10 reps to 12 reps. You could increase the weight. You go from 100 pounds to 110 pounds. You could also do some other interesting things depending upon where you're at in your training. You could add bands. Sometimes, like with a big heavy movement, I'll just add a band instead of adding a plate. That'll be some additional resistance. You could add a pause, or you could add slowed reps for like negatives. There's a lot of different ways to make movements harder. Rest times. Maybe you normally rest 3 minutes between a set. I don't usually say like cut down on your rest times, but if you're at 3 minutes and you go down to 2 minutes, that's progressive overload. You're working harder in less time. So there's a lot you can do there.
Yeah,
Good, good.
especially if you have Thanks. Yeah, especially if you have home workouts. I didn't think about that because you're so limited to what you have available to you. So you have to get a little bit creative with how to progressive overload. So exactly like if you're doing squats with a dumbbell at home and it's suddenly just too easy for you, like you're going way past your reps, add a band. That's a great way to make it harder and like yes, like pause reps. Yeah, so that's really good. I was thinking also, I don't know if you ever saw this video. I forget who it was. Some big fitness influencer. They weren't vegan, but he made this hilarious video and he was basically like kind of busting like the functional training bullshit that you see on Instagram. Like functional training is great, but there's just a lot of bullshit out there. Like I was saying, like people being on like a Bozu ball and like they're like
Mhm.
trying to do like a shoulder press, like into a deadlift and like all kinds of stuff. And the guy was like, functional training, like what are you training for? Like an earthquake? Like it was hilarious. But yeah, you do see crazy stuff like that on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it sometimes, I mean, you can find good information on Instagram, but just use your brain. Like if it I'm sure there's a time and a place for a Bosu ball, but like with a lot of resistance and dumbbells and stuff added on, that's probably not the time. That's how you're gonna get hurt. That's gonna be the guy that in 50 years is like, yeah, gym wasn't for me. It's too dangerous.
Yep.
That's how you mess yourself up. Yeah. All right. So technically, this will be number three. Add salt. Oh God, this is gonna ruffle some feathers, but salt is a huge game changer. If you don't believe me, drink some extra salt while you're training, like a gram to 2 grams, depending on your body weight. I usually say about 1 gram for every 100 pounds. Add it in with your intra workout shake if you take one. If you don't, just add it in with your water. It will allow you to push further. It's an electrolyte, so it helps do two things. It helps you contract your muscles. That's awesome, especially if we're in the gym. That's what we want to be doing. And it's going to make you less likely to catch a muscle cramp. If you've ever had one of those, they're not fun. And I will sometimes get really intense cramping, especially if I'm dehydrated, like after a leg day. I swear, I can't always do this if I'm alone. Like sometimes my cramp will be so bad in my hamstring or my quad that I'm just like laid out on the floor on the couch and there's no saving me. I'm just stuck there for a minute. But if I have somebody within screaming distance, I'll scream and say, "Give me some water and pour some salt in it." And like literally, as soon as you drink that, your cramp goes away. It's nuts. But yeah, add salt. I add it somewhat liberally to all my meals. You can use sea salt, pink salt. Even the iodized salt has iodine in it. So even that stuff, like table salt, is still, in my opinion, good for you. Just make sure you're staying hydrated. But most people freak out when they hear that, especially clients. And I have to go find literature. I have to just get them to trust me. And for me, it's a game changer.
What about water retention?
Yeah, so great question. I know you already know, but if you're keeping your salt and your water high all the time, you're not going to have like massive water retention. So that's why I can go out and eat like a pizza and have all this like salt from processed food outside, and I don't really retain water the next day. Sometimes I'll even look better. And that's because my salt's always high. Now, if you pull your salt really low, and then you go have one of those meals off, yeah, you are going to have water retention. Your body's not going to be used to it. It's not going to know what to do with it. So I recommend keeping salt relatively high. I mean, everybody can do their own thing, do your own research if you want, but most of like the world guidelines, or at least the United States, says 2,300 milligrams. I'll be honest, between my first and maybe my second meal, I get 2,300 milligrams right there. So I love salt. Oh,
Yeah.
bonus tip just for the podcast. If you make a dessert, go add some salt on top. Thank me later. You will see. Salt has this interesting property from a cooking perspective. It intensifies the flavors. So most people put it on savory food. You put it on sweet food, it's going to taste even sweeter. So That's tip number 3.
I love sweet and salty stuff. Like, that is my weakness. Like pretzels and some ice cream. Like, so good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's like it's so funny though how people are scared of salt. Which I get it. It's I mean probably because of like, the high blood pressure, hypertension stuff. So like then everybody thinks it applies to them. And yeah, a lot of women are scared of water retention, but it's like you said, if you're eating healthy foods and just adding salt for like performance reasons and maybe to get a little bit of iodine to flavor your food, you shouldn't hold a lot of water. It's when you're like going out to eat all the time and like dousing your food in like oils and sauces and eating a bunch of processed crap, that's when it's a problem. But salt in and of itself is not an issue. And it is a game changer. Like I bought these little tablets of electrolytes from Prozis, and they have like magnesium, sodium, potassium, I forget what else, but you just drop it in your water and it dissolves. And so I've been doing that during my workout, and like holy shit, yeah, it really changes your workouts. It gives me like that little boost I need to get through like the last half, especially on like the leg days. So I wish people weren't so afraid of salt, and like iodized salt, like so important. I was just reading the other day about how there's like this uptick in thyroid issues because nobody's using salt. Like everybody's scared of salt. So like, or like they're only using like Himalayan salt, which is great. Like it's very healthy, but like if you're not getting iodine from any other source or like supplementing with it, like you could set yourself up for potential issues. So yeah, salt is it should not be demonized for sure.
I agree 100%. I literally have it in my meal plans for my clients. The instructions are salt all of your meals evenly, at least 1 meal per day with iodized salt for exactly the reasons you mentioned.
Love it. Cool. All right. So I'll give my tip, which would be, are we on 4? Yeah, we're on 4.
4.
Okay. So I said slow and steady wins the race. And what I mean is a lot of people go like balls to the wall when they start a fitness journey, like total newbies, right? Like they're like, oh, I'm going to get in shape. Or maybe not even newbies, maybe somebody who was into it, but then they got out of it. And then people think, oh, I'm like kind of like you were like, I'm going to work out twice a day. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. I'm going to cut out my salt. I'm going to do all the things, and like that's not sustainable. So I think people are so focused on like getting that 10 pounds off or getting that 20 pounds off. They don't think about like this is a lifestyle. So okay, you get that 20 pounds off. Then what? You can't just go back to what you were doing because you're going to gain it all back. Like your body adapts. So like you have to create a healthy lifestyle for yourself. And it's also like it's not just about losing weight. Like it's also about just being healthy. So doing those like healthy habits, like getting your steps in, making healthier choices, picking whole foods, getting your protein in, that's going to set you up for success long term. So, like, if you're starting out with your fitness journey, don't do too much too quickly. Like, if you're already struggling with eating healthy, if it's already hard for you to get yourself to the gym, like, don't go crazy trying to do a million things at once. Like, take it slow. Like, do 4 workouts a week, do 3 workouts a week. If you're not used to doing workouts and it's like overwhelming to you, do 3 workouts a week, see how you do, then add 4. Eat a sustainable amount of food. That's the other thing is like I have to explain this to my clients. Like sometimes they'll sign up with me and I'll give them their meal plan and they'll be like 1,800 calories. Like, oh my God, that's so much food. Like I'm not used to eating that. Like I feel like I'm going to gain weight. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. We have a 5-month program, right? Like if I started you out on 1,200 calories, like where could we go from there? We still have 5 months to work together. So like you hit a plateau, your body adapts. We don't have anywhere to go. So like we're not going to go ahead and start out with an hour of cardio and 1,200 calories. Like no, boo. Like we're going to take what we can out of this amount of food, the most amount of food possible, the least amount of cardio. Your body adapts, and then all right, let's sprinkle a little bit more cardio in. Let's taper food down a little bit. Your body adapts. We have runway. Like we have a lot of runway here that we can move along, and people forget about that too. So they hit a wall and then it's like they just give up because they're already doing so much and then it's not working. So like why do anything? So give yourself time. Slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise won the race, not the rabbit. So take it slow, make it sustainable. don't do crazy stuff. Don't do crazy fad diets.
I agree. I think the larger viewpoint is like build those habits. It's easy to lose 20 pounds. If you were dedicated enough, you could probably do that depending upon how much you start at in like a week or two. Like just by not eating and drinking, you're going to lose 20 pounds. Well, that's not sustainable and it's not helping you build the right habits to have the body that you want to have. So definitely slow and steady. I also think I'm going to add for anybody that's an athlete or like prior military, prior high level, like collegiate or high school athlete that's taken some time off. This also applies to you because you've put in the years to have that mental toughness, but your body ain't what it was. And so the people that are most likely to get like rhabdomyolysis, aka rhabdo, from training way too hard and way too intense are people that have that mental toughness, but their body's just not ready for it yet. So instead of you going all out your first week back, if you've taken some time off, start a little lighter or do a few less reps than you think you can, and then build off of it from there. Like you could probably make progress with lighter weights for a longer period of time and still make gains. Like just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, I don't want to say that you shouldn't push yourself, but you should work back into it. I've just seen that. I've seen that with a few like high level, especially like prior military, because they just have a different mindset and they'll kill themselves when they come back, and then they'll be out of commission because they get hurt or something.
That is so true. And I didn't even think about that direction. But yes, I knew a girl that I competed with, and she took a very long off season, but like she wasn't really even training. Like she wasn't like eating the same. Like she just, I think she was just totally over bodybuilding and competing. And so she just wanted to be like a normal person for a while. But then, like, all of a sudden, she was like, 30 pounds heavier and then like wanted to get all her weight off. So she just started going like balls to the wall, like hour on the Stairmaster, like 2 workouts a day again. And she got rhabdo. She's in the hospital. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, no, like my kidneys, like I'm having so many issues. And, I was trying to do like 300 burpees and like all this stuff. So it's like you said, like mentally, like you're there and you know what it takes because you've done it before. So you're just like, oh, I'll just do what I did last time. Like, no problem. But your body's like, whoa, this ain't
Yeah.
this ain't what we're used to. Like, what is going on here?
How did she end up? Did she do okay? Or
Yeah, she seems to be okay now. I mean, she made it out. She said that she was cleared to start exercising again, and she is just taking it slower, like doing a lot of walking, and then just doing weight resistance training a few days a week. And she seems to be okay now, and she's lost a few pounds. So yeah,
yeah. Well, it would
yeah,
have been better if she just started slow from the beginning.
I know.
I think a lot of people don't have the long term in mind. Um, moving right along, number 5, establishing a morning routine. I think that I like unintentionally have done this for many years. um, but now I'm a bit more intentional with my morning routine. That includes brushing my teeth, getting my supplements together, doing my weigh-ins. But also, I've realized if I do it first thing in the morning, I don't forget to do it later. So like right now I've been working on my stomach vacuums, doing some stretching for my hip adductor because I should stretch, but I never do. But I've plugged it in with my morning routine. It takes like 10 minutes and I nail it probably 5, 6 days a week, some days, some weeks 7. And I've made a lot of progress, both with the vacuums and the hip adductor. And then after that, I usually go do morning cardio and I start working on my clients. So I get back to them in a timely manner. But whatever like you really, really need to work on, if it's journaling, meditation, yoga, stretching, I'd say do that in the morning. Make sure that it gets done. Because there's really no excuse. I would always say I'll stretch at the gym after I train. And then I'm either running late or I just forget, or I'm lazy and it doesn't happen. So I've now moved it to the morning, and it happens a very high percentage of the time.
I love that. I think a major life hack in general is identifying your weaknesses and remedying them, like figuring out how you're going to overcome them. That's something not a lot of people do, but man, will it upgrade your life. I mean, seriously. And that's kind of where it comes into, people compare themselves to other people. You should be comparing yourself to other people. You should be comparing yourself to yourself. Like, what is it that's holding you back? And yeah, identify those weaknesses and put those into your morning routine. I know for me, I have like really been working on my stress and anxiety lately, because I do feel like I've just like been, I mean, I have recognized like I'm more of a high strung person. But I'm like, this is holding me back. Like it interfered with my gut health, like my thyroid health, my hormone health. I mean, truly, I feel like stress is like the root of all evil. So I'm like, life isn't going to change. Like, life is always going to be stressful. I chose the entrepreneur life. Like, it is what it is. So I have to change. I have to change my response. I need to be in a situation where when something comes up with a client or something happens on social media or something doesn't go the way I want it to, like I can control my thoughts. So identifying that weakness helped me set up my morning routine. So like as much as I didn't want to, and I've talked about it on this podcast so many times, like meditating. I'm doing meditation now, like at least 5 minutes. Sometimes I do 10 minutes. Um, Mostly breath work. I'll call it breath work instead of meditating because that's really what it is. And then I'll do my morning gratitudes, I'll do my journaling, and I'll do my affirmations, and I'll set 3 goals for the day. And I mean, probably for a week, at least in a row, my goal for the day was manage my emotions, control my emotions, manage my stress. Like my stress is not going to get the best of me. And truly, like, and I would just write every day too, like, stressing about it isn't going to change anything. It doesn't make anything better. So realizing that and like just affirming that to myself every single day to where it's like it's just a part of my routine was so helpful for me. And I know a lot of people struggle with that, but like whatever it is, like even if it's something like yeah, like your mobility sucks and like you need to stretch every morning, like get up and do it. Like having a morning routine is so important just to be a better person, start your day off on the right foot. And like you said, otherwise you're going to forget. Things will come up during the day and you're like, oh well, I was in traffic and this happened so I can't do my vacuums or my stretching or my journaling, whatever. Like do it when you get up. No excuses.
I agree. I think it does set you up for like a positive mental note. Like, hey, I did some good things for myself. I already checked those boxes, and now I can go do other things that I need to do.
Yeah, love it. So, number 6, I would say eating clean is not enough to make progress. So, eating clean is important, obviously, but a lot of people eat clean. Although, it's like, what's your definition of clean? Everybody has different definitions of
Like,
clean.
do you do you use different dish soap to eat clean, or what is clean? Who determines clean food?
Right, exactly. Like what I think would be clean eating might be totally different to a carnivore. There's just so many different ways to eat clean. But mostly what's important with any sort of body composition goal is your calories and your protein intake. So those things are more important. And that's something that I wish I knew when I was first starting out on my fitness journey because I just felt like I'll just eat healthy and I'll lose weight. And sometimes that's the case. If your diet is really terrible and just totally shit, then if you just make healthier choices, you are going to lose weight. But then you get to a certain point where you're like, and which is most of my clients who come to me, they're eating like relatively healthy, but they're like, I don't know why I don't look the way I want to look. I don't know why I look like I don't work out. Like I want to look like I work out. And it's typically because, yeah, they're eating a lot of really good healthy foods, but like their fats are through the roof, their carbs are through the roof, like their calories are way over where they should be. So eating clean is important, but make sure you know what your calorie and your protein goals are because that's really going to get you to where you want to be.
I agree. I think there's been this like kind of diet cultural shift towards eating clean, or eating healthy, towards the point of an obsession. Um, it really depends on where you're at and what your goals are too. Like I commonly have athletes that are eating 3 to 4,000 calories a day from white rice, and most people would be like, "Oh my god, that's not clean. It's not brown rice." But brown rice is not going to digest nearly as well. Brown rice is going to have more arsenic from the soil. I feel like there's three food groups, and I could be wrong here, but this is my thought process. There's your first group, which would be your healthy slash clean foods. They're going to be relatively unprocessed. They're going to have vitamins and minerals, things like fiber, basically like foods that are inherently good for you. The second category, I'll call this the inherently bad foods. We talked about Oreos last week on the podcast, but like a fried Oreo, fried food as well as meats, they both lead to coronary artery disease, so basically heart attacks. There's not really any place in a truly like fully healthy diet to have fried foods. I'm not telling you don't eat fried foods. I'm just saying like from a health standpoint, if we were robots, probably wouldn't eat fried foods. They do inherently cause some harm. Same with alcohol. Now we got a lot of people that drink. Then there are foods that are kind of in the middle that don't, I believe, hurt you at all and don't really help you from a micronutrient perspective. So something like white rice, um, or really, yeah, like any kind of processed carb like that. Like even like I'll put this. This might be controversial, but like Sour Patch Kids, like it's like sugar. I don't think if you have, as long as you're not getting fat because you're not eating too much of this, I don't think it's inherently bad for you. But it's not inherently good either. It doesn't have any vitamins or minerals. It's not going to provide you protein. So it just kind of depends on where your calories are at. Now, I don't know. I feel like I went all over the place here. But there are different foods and they can have a place in your diet. Like white rice is great when you're bulking and you need a lot of calories. But no, it's not going to have fiber. It's not going to have potassium, things like that that you need. So if you were in a cutting phase and you wanted carbs that are more substantial and healthy, potatoes would be a much better option. Um, Anywho,
I love it. This is our new food pyramid, people. Let the
yeah,
USDA know. We've got healthy foods, we've got our neutral foods, and then we've got our shit foods.
yeah, and of course the shit foods taste the best. But
Of course.
yeah. All right. So now this would make number 7.
7? Yes.
All right, number 7. Go ahead, get your hurt feelings reports ready. You're not training hard enough. And for those in the back that didn't hear it, you're not training hard enough. You're not training hard enough. I'm even telling myself this right now. You're not training hard enough. We can always find one more rep. We can always push harder. You can play the mental games. If you want to get negative, pretend somebody you love is going to die if you don't get another rep. If you want to get positive, imagine you're going to get $100,000 cash for every additional rep you get with good form than last week. I bet there's some people that would walk into the gym and make $1 million today. And if you're doing that, you ain't training hard enough. You should only be able to get maybe 1 or 2 more reps each week. And if you're getting more than that, you didn't push that hard the week before. So I see this a lot as a coach. I ask my clients to send me form videos, or I'll see people in person, and I love it. Like I'll tell a client, hey, do 8 to 12 reps on a leg extension. They do 12 reps. I said, why'd you stop at 12? I'm like, well, you said 8 to 12. I'm like, yeah, but like with that weight, you could have done like 20, maybe 25 reps. So let's do 25 next week. Send me a video of that, and then I'll add some weight for you. And they often just send me back the eyes emoji. But then they go and do it, and they realize that they weren't really pushing themselves. And that's, I guess it depends on what you want. If you want to build a big, strong, muscular body or become a better athlete, you're gonna have to train harder. Um, until you've my coach used to say, I realize I'm getting long-winded here, but on deadlifts, they should, what is the exact words? They should steal your soul. I didn't fully know what that meant until like in the course of like a month and a half, we took something I could do for 5 reps. And every single week I sent him a video and he's like, you had one more. You had one more. You had 1 or 2 more. I'm like, but I just did one more from last week. I got that up to like 11 reps and I truly did not think I could do it. I approached the bar and I was like, well, I don't think I can do this, but I really don't want to let him down. I'm going to do my best. And like that it stole my soul or whatever the word is. it was just insane. I did something I didn't think I could do, and then I was like, "Oh, I should have been training this hard for like the last decade." And I thought I trained hard. I trained harder than most people, but you always have more. Everybody always has more to give. So train harder. You want to grow? Here's a free tip. Train harder. Um, I will get off my soapbox.
Look, I totally agree. Like if you want to build muscle, if that is your goal, you have got to push yourself. Like you've got to get a little bit uncomfortable. You can't be afraid of the burn. You can't be afraid of stuff hurting, like in a good way, not a bad way. An easy way to know if you're not training hard enough is if you could train 7 days a week or shit, even 6 days in a row. Like you're not training hard enough. I'm sorry. Like I'll have people who like I had a consultation the other day and she's like, "Look, I train 6 days a week. My workouts are not the problem." I was like, "That tells me your workouts are the problem right there. You don't have to tell me anything else."
Ah, uh,
So yeah, you need more than just a meal plan for sure. So yeah, it's like people really underestimate what is required to get good muscle growth, and you know you really need to be pushing yourself in the gym if you're looking to build muscle.
agreed. You know what I think I've always I know I've always admired, which is funny because I'm all about bodybuilding, right? And like strength sports. I've always admired, possibly even more, endurance athletes. People that have run 100 miles without stopping. Like David Goggins doing like 4,000 pull-ups in a day or something. Like things like that. It takes so much mental strength. Like, yes, it takes a lot of strength to squat 1,000 pounds. It does. But I can only imagine squatting 1,000 pounds is easier than running 100 miles.
Mm.
It's just it's mind blowing. And I've done some of these challenges for myself just to see what I could do. And like I think the one I'm most proud of is I walked 100,000 steps in a day before. I kind of gamified it. I started at 4:30 in the morning and I finished at 10 p.m. and I pretty much only stopped to sit down to poop. Like even my meals, I would walk around in circles while eating. Um, it was it was challenging, but I mean, how hard is stepping? You just put one foot in front of the other and you don't stop. It's a mental game. It's not how you're built physically. I don't think David Goggins is the best runner in the world. I think he's just one of the hardest motherfuckers in the world. That's part of what it is. And so, does that make me any better at bodybuilding? Not directly, but I think it's the mindset of watching those endurance athletes, and it's cool as hell. And there's quite a few vegan ones, so that's also cool.
Makes me think of Forrest Gump. and,
Yeah.
and at the end, he's just like, "Think I'll go home now." Like, no big deal.
You know, I've been toying around with this. Like, I want to do another fundraiser. I already got the head tattoo. I think something like getting people to pledge a certain amount of money for every 1,000 steps or something like that, and like just take off and walk for like 24 hours straight. I don't know.
That would be cool.
It'd be very anti bodybuilding, but it's so me. Anyways. Oh, I also want to do like an eating challenge. My coach is gonna kill me, but I know it'd be easy, but like a 10,000 calorie eating challenge, I feel like that'd be so easy. I could be done in half the day.
That would be easy.
Yeah. I'd probably get clicks though. All right. You're not training hard enough. Go eat some food.
All right,
uh,
number eight. Number eight. So my next one would be all calories are not created equal. So even though we talked about eating clean is not enough to make progress, eating clean is important. So yes, if you are in a calorie deficit, there's actually I forget his name, but kind of like the Super Size Me guy. There was a guy who would do like crazy stuff, you know, for attention and clicks, and he tried to see if he could lose weight on just candy bars. So he ate 1,800 calories worth of candy bars every day and he lost weight. I mean, he made progress. So it truly is about your calorie consumption. But the reason I put this down is because obviously you wouldn't want to eat candy bars all day. I mean, yes, you would, but here's why you wouldn't. Um, eventually, it will lead to issues. If you're not getting all of the nutrients in that you need, you know, all of our bodily functions require certain vitamins, certain nutrients, fiber, there's a reason that a plant-based diet is so healthy. It's because it's full of nutrients. So all of the fruits, all of the veggies, the grains, the nuts, the seeds, like all of the things that you're consuming, even tofu, like soy products are really superfoods. Um, all of these foods have nutrients. So when you hear people say a calorie is a calorie, yes, from like a thermodynamic standpoint of what your body burns, but on a deeper level, you do want to make sure that you are fueling your body with nutrients. I'm sure you've heard of Weight Watchers at some point. Weight Watchers, they like had a lot of pushback from a lot of people who had done their program and lost weight, but they were having all these like health issues, especially like gut issues. Like SIBO was really common in IBS because they had a lot of these like little like products they would come out with, which were like low fat, low calorie, like brownies, like little cakes, like Twinkies, all kinds of stuff, but they had no nutritional value, like none. So people were just like consuming their entire diet full of like these Weight Watcher foods that like Franken foods, people call them, where they're just like these manufactured things that have like they take the fat out and they take the sugar out, so they have to put all this other shit in to make it taste good. So people are just like filling their body up with just crap and then not really eating the right foods, which partly on Weight Watchers, like they should be educating people like, hey guys, you do need to eat a vegetable and a fruit once in a while, stuff like that. But yeah, so anyways, my point is, make sure that you are getting some healthy foods in. Like you don't have to do all whole foods. I feel like that's a little unrealistic for a lot of people. And like we talked about earlier with the brown rice can cause some digestive distress. I think 80-20. 80-20 is plenty. Like 20% fun foods, foods you like, foods that make you happy, you can stay consistent with, and 80% healthy foods that fuel your body.
I agree. I agree pretty much all the way around there. To elaborate on not all calories are created equal, I think also we can look at it from not all macronutrients are exactly equal. A gram of fat contains 9 calories. A gram of carbohydrates or a gram of protein contains 4. So, fat, clearly, just based off that alone, is much more dense, which means we can eat more of it before we start to feel full. So you want to be careful, especially when eating out. It's easy to look at carbs and guess how much there are, but when you look at something with fat, it's really hard to tell how much fat has been added. Like think of like a soup. How much of that is water and how much of that is oil? How do you have a clue? You don't. And then even looking at carbohydrates. Now, if you're going to use sugar, that's like pure carbs and it's going to have no fiber. So 100 calories worth of sugar is going to be 100 calories all every time. However, if you did like whole foods, like let's say, I don't know, oatmeal or something that has fiber in it, some of that fiber isn't going to be digested. So while it's still included in the calories, maybe you see 100 calories of oatmeal, your body might only get about 90 usable calories. Now, that's not going to 10 calories isn't going to make or break your diet, but you do that every day throughout a week, it's going to slowly start to add up. The last one, probably the biggest one to consider is protein. I'm big on protein. And when you digest protein, it actually takes a good bit of work from your body. So there's like a thermolytic effect. You can do the research if you want to know the exact amounts, but basically for every gram of protein you take in, every 4 calories, it takes your body about 1 calorie of energy to process and digest that protein. So if I were to build you a diet and I had one person eating 100 calories worth of carbohydrates at every meal and the other person just had protein at 100 calories, the protein person is only really getting in 75 calories or so. So if you build that out and you build a whole diet that has some unprocessed carbohydrates like oats and then a higher percentage of protein, like maybe lower your fats a little bit, raise your protein, you're going to eat more food, but it's going to take more to digest it, not necessarily in a bad way. And you're going to get leaner faster and probably be set better up with a lifestyle to stay leaner longer. So, anyways, for all those reasons, calories aren't equal and where they come from is also not equal.
Good one. Love it.
Cool. And that brings us to number 9. What gets measured gets managed. I remember hearing this a while back. I don't know where I heard it first. I think it's a pretty common phrase, but it's so true. If you measure your food, if you measure your training, if you measure your weight, if you measure your time spent meditating or journaling, your steps, you can manage it. Your sleep, you can manage it. If you measure it, you can manage it. If there's no way to measure what you're doing, like you're changing your workouts every week or using some imaginary weights, how are you going to know? You're just not. So I am a big proponent of tracking. I try to tell people, like, I know that the scale bothers a lot of people. So I try and tell them as a coach, like, that number is not for you. That number is for me. The number doesn't matter what you see. It matters what I see over time. And it's going to be my interpretation based on a lot of other things. But the scale, steps, and I think too, almost from like a encouragement standpoint, like I love that I track my steps now. If I'm at 9,000, I'm like, oh, I'm so close to 10,000. I'm so much more likely to get it than if it's just like, hey, John, go walk a lot. Like, did I walk enough? I have no idea. So I'm big on measuring and tracking.
I totally agree. I think, like we talked about earlier, there's a big movement on social media as well for not tracking food because it's like disordered eating, is what people are saying. But like, I truly think it gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of freedom if you do track your food. Otherwise, you're just like hoping that you hit your goal, and who knows if you will. And you can easily work in like little things you like, hey, if I got 200 calories left, I could fit a green bites in there, you know? So it just gives you a lot more freedom to have flexibility with your food. And it's like, how exactly, like, if things are not working, like if you're at a standstill, you're not making progress, your clothes aren't fitting better, your measurements aren't changing, like, how do you know what to change? Like, you don't know if you need to increase your steps because you're not tracking them. You don't know if you need to decrease your food because you're not tracking it. So you have no idea which variable is the holdup. Is it the food? Is it your activity? You don't know because you're not tracking anything. So it just paints a really very detailed picture of what is going on with your composition and your health. So yeah, I love that. I love that phrase. I need to tell my clients that.
Heck yeah. All right.
Last one. So this is my last one. I think everyone should create periods where they're not in a deficit. I think men, it's probably not that hard for you guys, but for women out there, gosh, you guys got to stop chronic dieting. Like, seriously, it's so important to have diet breaks, to have periods where you're either in maintenance or in surplus. You don't want to be in a huge deficit forever. Like, chronic under eating can lead to a lot of health issues, and make it harder for you to lose weight in the future. Like, people don't think about that. So like, I'll have women come to me and they're eating 1,200 calories and they're like 40 pounds overweight and they don't know why they're not losing weight. And I'm just like, how long have you been in a deficit? And then it's like 2 years. And I'm like, well, your body's adapted. So, like, you don't really have anywhere to go from here. Like, we're not going to do 800 calories. At some point, your body's cannibalizing itself, because you have to have energy. And if you're not giving yourself energy through food, your body's going to look for it in other places. And a lot of people think, oh, well, it's going to be body fat. But actually, muscle is the easiest form of glucose for the body. So like, you may lose body fat, you will lose body fat, but you also might lose some muscle, and you don't want to lose muscle. Like, I think a lot of women don't understand how detrimental losing muscle is. I mean, you're talking about a huge tank in your metabolism and your longevity. Muscle is so important for fighting osteoporosis, for just general health, for everything, you name it. So I mean, typically if you've been in a deficit for several months, you want to make sure that you give yourself either a diet break or go into maintenance calories for a while, go into a surplus, take care of yourself, take care of your health. Like, ruining your health is not worth being thin ever.
Yeah. For diet breaks, like for my clients, let's say they came to me. They were just eating at maintenance, like 2,500 calories a day. We've pushed them down to 1,800. Things are starting to slow down. For me, a diet break, I'd just say, okay, we're going to pull from that old meal plan and basically go back up to that maintenance for a week, and then we'll go back into the deficit. Is that how you would do it on your end, or something
Yeah.
similar?
Yeah, it depends on the person. So like for example, I have someone who had a lot of weight to lose. So we were in a deficit for like 4, 5-ish months, and then we started having some brain fog, some which compliance with her diet was great the whole time, but then she started having some issues. So diet fatigue, brain fog, recovery was worse. So we just started noticing a downward trend in everything, sleep, stress, everything. So I'm like, all right, let's do a diet break. She's like, well, I have more food. I have more fat I want to lose. Like I want to keep going. And I'm like, but right now, like stuff is starting to suffer. Stuff is starting to decline. So exactly like you said, we went back to maintenance. We chilled out there for a while. She like fluctuated between 1 to 2 pounds, so she didn't gain any weight, which was perfect. That's a perfect diet break for anybody listening. And then we just went right back into it, right back into the cut. So yeah, and
Cool.
typically like if you're having like if you're noticing that you're more fatigued than usual, like you maybe your strength is going down. That's a big one. If your strength is decreasing, if your sleep sucks, it's your body trying to tell you something. So typically, you need a diet break after dieting for so long. Listen to your body, don't push it, and just maintain.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to think about it is like, well, what if I just want to lose a pound a week forever? Eventually, what are you? Where are you? If you're trying to be a bodybuilder, I mean, I get it. I get it. We all want to be leaner, but like eventually you're just gonna waste away to nothing. So from like a longevity perspective as well, or at least as far as like most people want to eat more food. Like they want to diet because they want to see the scale go down. But like if you think about it, having more muscle does two things for you. One, just literally having the muscle on your frame will burn some more calories, not a crazy amount, actually less than people think. Like me, I wouldn't eat that much more than the regular person if I stopped working out. Like my muscle mass itself isn't like we're not stupidly inefficient as humans, but having all this extra muscle allows me to do more work in the gym. That burns a lot of calories. So it's not so much just having the muscle, but being able to use it and work with it. So if you're in a deficit for a very long time and you either start burning up some muscle, or just never give yourself time to build more muscle, you won't be able to increase your output in the gym, and then you won't be able to increase the food that you eat. So if your goal is to get leaner long term, it still helps to have those times where you're building some muscle as well.
Agreed. Yeah, take care of yourself. Especially with women, like you guys are much less resilient to chronic dieting and chronic under eating. Like you don't want to have hormone issues, so make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah, our bodies are so resilient and inherently good at surviving that you can go very, very low on calories and not die. Your
Yeah.
body will just slow down your thyroid. It'll slow down your brain. It'll drop your body temperature. You'll stop twitching as much. Your body will basically start to shut itself down so that it doesn't need as much food to live. It's smart. It's great if you're on a deserted island. But then comes the next question. Would you eat that pig on the deserted island that every vegan gets asked? I've not been stranded on a deserted island yet at 31, so I've never come to that conundrum in real life, but
Yeah, luckily I haven't either. Crazy.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest here. If I thought there was a way to survive, I'd probably take it. But
Yeah, I think the whole point, and see that's what's stupid about that argument is like the whole point is that we're not on a deserted island. We are in like modern society where like you can just literally walk to Publix and choose between a piece of flesh from a sentient being or a plant. So like the whole point is that we're not on a deserted island. We're not paleo people. Like society has changed where now we have a choice you know. So it's just it's a stupid argument.
Yeah, and the person that asked it is guaranteed not out there fighting the pig either.
Right.
Pigs are cool, dude. They're kind of like dogs, like very smart. I told a pig to sit, and it listened. Um, it wanted
They
the apple
are.
that I had. Yeah.
They're supposed to have the intelligence of like a 3-year-old child. And you know the other thing is like all of us are so like in Western society at least. I mean, I don't know. I know we have hunters and whatnot, but like most people wouldn't even know how to like kill a pig and eat a pig on a deserted island, like skin it, cook like you know
Y-
what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's actually really sad. Most people don't know how to kill a pig, even gun owners. And when I was getting my head tattooed, I almost asked for a break. And then the owner of, this was like live stream. So the owner of Live Freely Sanctuary, she came on and said that it's traumatic for them to rescue the pigs because sometimes they don't get there in time. And the person that didn't want the pig has already shot it in the face
Mhm.
and unsuccessfully killed the pig. It's like, yeah, even these people with guns, not on a deserted island, aren't smart enough to kill an animal. I was going to say humanely. I don't know how there's a humane way to do it, but at least in a less painful manner. And according to you, a pig is as smart as a 3-year-old. So we should just stop eating pigs and start eating 2-year-olds. That would solve the problems. Um, oh, God, we're going to get canceled.
Delicious. How many calories? What are the macros?
Oh, God. High in protein, I've heard, got to eat your meat.
All essential amino acids, which is really important. It's a complete source of protein.
Yeah. And all right, I was gonna go too dark. We're just done here. Sean's gonna cancel the episode. Oh man. Well, that's our top 10 tips, and then some not so serious stuff at the end there. I think we hit some pretty good stuff here. Anything else come to mind? We could do like a bonus.
What's a fun bonus? Oh, here's my bonus. Don't be like me if you're a vegan and wait like 3 years into your vegan journey life to make seitan. Like, make the damn
Mhm.
seitan. It will
Yeah,
change your life. I waited so long to make seitan because I was just like, I don't know what to do. And it sounds so weird, but oh my gosh, such a game changer. Love my seitan.
I agree. It's easy, and it's like probably the most cost-effective form of vegan protein out there.
Yes, and it's so much better than the store bought. Like I was like, oh well, just buy this store like Upton. I mean, I don't want to call anybody out. I love all the seitan brands out there. Don't get me wrong, but I will say like making it at home, you can make it however you want it. So like if you want like a taco flavor, if you want like a kind of Italian, you could like make it whatever you want it. Like I know you've made like a pumpkin one that I still haven't tried that I need to
Yep.
try. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm trying to think now. I want a good tip. I don't even really know. Making your own cream of rice at home. You just take a blender and you blend white rice, and now you can make your own cream of rice. If you've never tried that, big game changer. So there you go. We got 12, dirty
It's
dozen.
so it's so funny how you don't think of stuff like that. Like, there was one day I was making a recipe and it called for oat flour, and I'm like, well, shit, I don't have oat flour, but like I had oats, and I'm like, I just blend the oats and make oat flour.
Mhm.
Like, it's so funny.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I think we're coming to a close here. I am gonna plug. I have to plug Vegans Who Lift Coaching Academy. Brooke and I have just about wrapped up this first class. It has been one of the most fulfilling aspects of my life. I feel I am fully embodying my mama duck spirit animal. And we've got these 12 awesome students that we're just about to kick out of the nest and tell them, go get your clients, go change the world, go be vegan and lift some heavy weights. And that brings us to the second class. By the time y'all are hearing this, registration should be open. You can head over to veganswholiftacademy.com, get your seat. We're not going to be letting too many people into this because we do want to keep it very, very small, very family esque. Like we're thinking 10 to 12 students again, so that Brooke and I have time to give them one on ones and really delve into not just I've realized it's not just the optics, it's not just your Instagram, it's not just do you know how to do a sales call? It's also a lot of like believing in yourself. There's a lot of students we've helped so far that I think just needed that little push. It was they knew all the things to do, they just didn't have somebody behind them pushing them. And I think that's what we have to offer. So I'm super excited to do the second one with you, Brooke.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get a good group going. We have a few people who are already interested, so that have reached out to us. So make sure that you guys go to it's the vegans who lived academy.com, correct?
Yes, vegans who
Yeah.
lift academy.com.
So make sure you guys go and sign up if you're interested. If you do have any questions about the curriculum, what's included, what a week in the academy looks like, message me and John. We'd be happy to give you a little bit more info. But yeah, sign up. Seats are going to go fast. I mean, we closed our first class in just a few days.
Yeah, with no preparing or anything.
No preparing, no marketing, nothing. We were just like, hey, we're doing this. And we had a whole bunch of people sign up. I think we closed it in just a few days. So less than a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's a good value. I can only imagine where I'd be at right now if I had found that 3 or 4 years ago. That's our whole goal in my eyes is to fast track you to where you want to be. So super excited to be starting that, getting some more vegan coaches out there, sending the good word. Anything else, Brooke?
No, I think we're ready to wrap it up.
All right, I brought us on. You can take us off.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our 10 top fitness tips. If you guys would like to leave us a message, go to vegansexplore.com and you can leave us a message and be featured on the podcast. Make sure to sign up for the Vegans Who Lift Academy. And that's it. Have the best day ever. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Have the best day ever. Bye.